Hello, y'all. Um, I have the other part of the gingham dress. That was the poem part. This is the story, but it also has the poem in it. I thought I would go ahead and do it today and sort of have them both, close together. So here goes. And I have a hard time reading the little print with my glasses. I have to take them off. So here goes. The ragged edges had become faded over time, and the yellowish tint marred the fabric. She should rid herself of the gingham dress. Yet she could not bear to part with it. She folded it neatly and lay it on the bed. It didn't fit any more, hadn't fit in a while. But still she kept it. After all, it was the one he loved best. She wiggled her fingers slowly and grimaced in pain. Yep, that old arthritis was acting up again. Age brought on many aches and pains. She got stiff quite a lot lately. Her movements were slow and painful today, but there wasn't any help for it. It was Sunday, and she was not going to miss church. She poured her glass of tea and stumbled slowly through the hall. Stopping, she gazed lovingly at the pictures that hung on the wall. Picnics, church social, county fairs. He was in all of them, smiling that handsome smile he always had. She ran her fingers down his face in the portrait, and tears slowly eased down her cheek. That was the first one, and the memories invaded her mind with all haste. Once the tears started, they could not stop. So long ago, even though it didn't seem so. She had mourned his death many, many years. She still remembered the day they told her that the tree had fallen on him. She had cried and cried, and still, after all these years, she could feel the emptiness, the loneliness, and the heart-wrenching pain. There she was, in the gingham dress. He's so handsome in his barred suit. His arms held tightly around her, and they were gazing lovely in each other's eyes. No, she couldn't get rid of the gingham dress. That was his favorite. He loved that one best. She picked up her old notepad and pen. They hadn't had much use lately, what with her eyesight and all. And Lord, that arthritis in her fingers. But that was something she just had to do. She walked out to the porch, swing, and settled her frame in the seat. She wiggled a time or two, trying to get settled in. And then she began to write, through the tears that still captured her heart. My time on earth is short, and each day brings it closer and closer to an end. I'm sure the good Lord is planning on taking me home soon. Do not mourn me, because I will be with my John again, strolling hand in hand through God's wildflower meadows. Please bury me with my gingham dress. I know it don't fit no more, but just fold it and lay it in there with me. My age is such that I will finally be able to rest well in God's strong arms. I've lived a full life, seen many things, done many things, and lived through many things. It's time for me to rest my weary bones. Love y'all, and be faithful to God above. Well, land sakes, Maddie said. I forgot my Bible in the house. It's about time for Tom and Martha to pick me up for church. She stood, and it took her a minute to straighten her old bones, but she did, and hobbled slowly in the house. She pulled a Kleenex from the box and realized it was her last one. She must remember to get some more. And there was her Bible on her bedside table, where she always kept it. It took her a little longer to get back to the porch. Her muscles were getting stiffer and stiffer. Well, I don't think I'm able to get on my swing, so I expect I'll wait in the rocker. Yep, her old wooden rocker had a cushion on it. It was old and worn, like everything else, but my, how comfy it was. She ripped the page out of her pad, folded it up, and stuck it inside the Bible. She knew it would be safe there. Rocking back and forth, she shut her eyes, took in the quiet peace, then went to sleep. The gingham dress. The daffodils were blooming now. Red clover spread over the meadow. The smell of heather filled the air. As she walked, she felt some better. She walked unsteadily with a cane from her broken right hip. Her aging body mended slowly. It had been 2 months since she tripped. In the middle of the meadow she stopped, leaning heavily on her cane. Often her mind wandered, and now it was happening again. She had forgotten something, but what, she couldn't rightly recall. Well, maybe it come to her, or maybe not at all. Flowing loose down her back, long snow-white hair. Oh my goodness, that was it! She had forgotten to brush it, and he would soon be there. She took a few steps, planning to rush back home. Then tears rolled down her cheeks as she remembered she was all alone. She pulled a flowered handkerchief from her faded gingham dress. As she brushed away the tears, she remembered it was the one he liked best. The color was faded now, and there was a rip under the arm, but it was comfortable to wear when the day was warm. He bought it for her in 45, or was it 46? Sometimes dates bothered her, often her mind played tricks. Let's see now. The Millers were having a barn raising, and they helped each day. That night they were to celebrate, and Coy and his boys were to play. Such fine fiddle players, and Dad with his violin, but she really had nothing fit to go in. Most of her clothes she made from flour sack. She even made the dye. Pokeberries and walnut hulls. Sometimes she used extra blueberries when she made a pie. She remembered crying because she had not wanted to go. She wanted to go so bad. And she took a walk with old Blue, one of the best friends she ever had. John's feelings would be hurt if she told him of her sorrow. She decided to pick some blackberries to make a pie for tomorrow. Maddie! Maddie! She heard his voice call her name. Old Blue perked up his ears and went running down the lane. She dried her tears as best she could. He hated to see her cry. If he noticed, she would tell him she'd just got dust in her eye. Oh, there you are! Come, I have something for you. Such excitement on his face, she asked him what it was, but he wouldn't give her a clue. Come on now, we don't want to be late. The Miller's shindig starts at 7:45. How did she have the heart to tell him that she couldn't go? She had nothing to wear, but she couldn't hurt him so. He took her arm in his and led her down the path, and as they entered the house, she noticed he had drawn water for a tub bath. She couldn't stop the tears that fell. Her husband was just too much. For 10 of her best years, this was the man she loved. They had always been poor, though they worked their finger to the bone. Somehow it never mattered, because he was always the one she could rely on. Now she felt so selfish. After all, it was just one night get-together. But this was the man she loved, sworn to be with him forever. Why are you crying, Maddie? Honey, what's wrong? Nothing really, John. I just realized, no matter what, by your side is where I belong. Oh, honey, let me dry your tears. And he gave her a flowered handkerchief she still had after all those years. Now come on, see what I have for you. Arm in arm, he led her into the bedroom. There on the bed lay a gingham dress, dyed a forest green, and in a small jewelry box was a small emerald ring. It wasn't real emerald, but really she didn't care. But what really caught her eye was a green ribbon for her hair. A pair of black slippers with a little bow on top, and she gasped as he showed her a pair of tan nylons. Gosh, what a luxury! They were so hard to find. He had spent so much, she was afraid he'd lost his mind. He smiled at her, his green eyes alight with pleasure. For so long he had wanted to give her these simple treasures, just to see the emotions he now saw. He was lucky to find a job, or he couldn't afford it at all. Oh, John, these things are so beautiful, but I can't. He didn't let her finish before he said, TJ over at the sawmill, need an extra man. I got me a good paying job, Maddie, and tonight you'll be the belle of the ball. Tonight is our night. We won't worry about nothing at all. Such a glorious time they had dancing underneath the moon. Well, she thought they must have danced to every tune. When they arrived home that night, they loved as never before. No, it wasn't 45 or 46. It was June the 8th, 1944. It all came back to her in a rush, and once again tears filled her eyes. Her John died in the forest, June the 8th, 1945. A year from the date of the Miller shindig, as he had called it. As they were sawing down the oak tree, it swayed just a bit. A bit was all it took. It couldn't move fast enough. And as it fell, it landed on the man she loved. Though it was tradition to wear black to his funeral, she wore her gingham dress, because after all, that was the one he loved the best. The daffodils were blooming, red clover spread over the meadow, the smell of heather in the air, and as she walked, she felt some better. Her thoughts were repeating again. It was time to go home. She rubbed arthritic fingers down her gingham dress as she limped along. Except this time, her John was there. He held her in his arms, hugging her tightly. Wow, so beautiful, the light wildflowers, so bright the light. Beautiful, amazing. And she knew where she was. She was with John, holding hands in God's wildflower fields. She didn't hurt, but she felt so much love, so much peace. God had brought her home. Martha! Martha, come here! Martha stuck her head out the car window. They were running late for church, and she was getting rather impatient. What is it, Tom? I believe she's dead. And in heaven, Maddie was wearing her gingham dress. After all, that's the one that he loved best. Cynthia Clark, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day, and I love y'all. Peace.